Number 1.
At the time of her abduction, Jessica resided with her father, Jesus Vargas, in the Tropicana Apartments complex on South Oak Avenue in Sanford, Florida. Her mother, Leticia Beatriz Martinez, had visitation. Martinez came to pick up her daughter at 10 p.m. on November 4, 2006. She was accompanied by several other men who threatened Vargas as he went outside and demanded that he give them his daughter. Vargas and 3 other men got into a fight with Martinez and her companions. Vargas and his friends were stabbed. One of them, Osman Javera Rivera Alvarado, later died in the hospital. Rivera Alvarado was Vargas's brother and Jessica's uncle. The abductors were able to take Jessica and ran away with her and Martinez. They fled in a white 4-door compact car, which may have had the license plate number 036JPG. The child has not been seen since, but the abduction vehicle was later located in Central Florida. Martinez had been living in an apartment complex on West 25th Street in Sanford at the time her daughter went missing. When authorities went there, it was vacant. Neither she nor her daughter has been seen since the abduction. Photographs of Martinez are posted with this case summary. Her date of birth is January 31, 1985, making her 21 years old at the time of Jessica's abduction. She's described as Hispanic, 5'2" and 125 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Martinez's name may be given as Leticia Martinez Beatriz or Leticia Beatriz Martinez. 4 days after Jessica's abduction, an arrest warrant was issued for Martinez. She is wanted for capital murder and home invasion robbery in connection with the abduction of her daughter and the murder of Rivera Alvarado. Similar warrants have been issued for the brothers Felix A. Lugo and Wilrobert Lugo. Photographs of the Lugo brothers are unavailable. Felix is described as Hispanic, 6'4" tall and 170 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He was 24 years old at the time. Wilrobert is Hispanic and 6'2" tall and 170 pounds and also has black hair and brown eyes. He was 17 years old. Each of the suspects remains at large. Martinez and Jessica may be in New York City, New York, Mexico, or California. The child is considered to be endangered due to the violent nature of her abduction. Her case remains unsolved.
Number 2.
Biggers resided in Hueytown, Alabama at the time of her disappearance. On January 27, 2008, she and a female coworker went to Panama City Beach, Florida on business. They checked into rooms at the La Quinta Inn on Thomas Drive. Biggers went to her room at 7 p.m. She was discovered missing at 6 a.m. the next day. Her bed didn't appear to have been slept in. It looked as if she had been reading in it. There were pillows propped against a headboard, and an open book and Biggers' reading glasses were on the bedside table. There were no signs of a struggle. A night clerk was stationed less than 100 feet from Biggers' room, but no one saw her leave. She left behind all her belongings, including her purse, money, keys, identification, clothes, cellular phone and car. The day of her disappearance, Biggers was acting strangely. She began hearing voices and appeared to be having conversations with people who weren't there. She was under stress because her son, a soldier, was about to be deployed to Afghanistan. Her son was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina in January 2008, and it's possible Biggers tried to go there to see him. There were leads placing her in the Mansfield, Ohio area months after her disappearance, but none of the accounts were confirmed. It's possible that Biggers developed amnesia and wandered away from the hotel in a confused condition. She has no prior history of memory loss or going missing. Foul play is not suspected in her case, but due to her mental condition, there is grave concern for her safety. Her case remains unsolved.
Number 3.
Blackburn Willis was last seen in Bellevue, Florida at 1 a.m. on April 21, 2007. She and her sister went to some bars that day. Billy Joe Ashton Sr., Blackburn Willis' boyfriend, followed them. Blackburn Willis asked her sister to pull over and got into the 1995 Chrysler New Yorker Ashton was driving. Photographs of the vehicle are posted with this case summary. Ashton later claimed they had an argument and he dropped her off around the corner from where her estranged husband lived. Her husband denied having seen her, however. Blackburn Willis has never been heard from again. Her family initially thought she had gone to Texas. She was reported missing in early May after she failed to get in touch with her daughter on the girl's 16th birthday. Blackburn Willis has a drinking problem, but it's uncharacteristic of her not to contact her child. On July 24, the vehicle Blackburn Willis was last seen in was found at Wildcat Lake in Lake County, Florida, near the home of one of Ashton's relatives. Her blood was in the trunk. A witness told police that Ashton burned some items from the trunk of the Chrysler. Investigators went to the spot of the fire and dug it up and found some fragments of clothing, including buttons from a pair of faded Glory jeans. Blackburn Willis often wore that brand. Ashton was incarcerated shortly after Blackburn Willis' disappearance. Some of her missing persons posters were displayed in the jail, and he tore them down. He reportedly told an informant at the jail that he had elbowed Blackburn Willis in the face and knocked her out, and he wiped up her blood with a towel which he put in the trunk, and this was how the blood had gotten there. He also stated he had gotten rid of her. A photo of Ashton is posted with this case summary. He has a history of violent behavior and served 6 years in prison for kidnapping and assaulting another girlfriend in 1998. In June 2010, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for possession of a firearm by a habitual offender. Less than 24 hours later, he was charged with second-degree murder in Blackburn Willis' case. Authorities stated the evidence against him was largely circumstantial and included tips from informants, DNA analysis and witness statements. However, in February 2013, the case against him was dropped due to insufficient proof. Charges may be refiled against Ashton if more evidence surfaces. He is still incarcerated for the weapons offense. Foul play is suspected in Blackburn Willis' case due to the circumstances involved.
Number 4.
Block was last seen in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on June 22, 1988. He lived with David Rhodes in Drake Towers, an apartment building in the 1800 block of North Andrews Avenue. Both men vanished on that date and have never been heard from again. Rhodes' cellular phone and briefcase disappeared from their home at the same time they did, but they left the air conditioning on, as if they had intended to be back soon. Curiously, Block and Rhodes are not the only residents of Drake Towers who have disappeared. Mark Jackson, a 35-year-old marketing executive, disappeared from the building on June 27, 2004, 16 years later. There are some similarities between the Jackson and Rhodes Block disappearances. All 3 men are gay, all of them left behind most of their belongings, they all disappeared in late June, and all of them were reportedly involved with drugs. Jackson reportedly used crystal methamphetamine and other club drugs, and Block and Rhodes may have handled drug money for one of Rhodes' acquaintances. There is some speculation that Rhodes, Block and Jackson's disappearances are connected to the murder of Michael Wayne Wachholtz, the presumed murder of Jason Galehouse, and the disappearances of James Shoemaker, Mark Thompson and Bradley Williams. All of the men are gay, all were within roughly the same age group, and they all disappeared from the same area. Shoemaker disappeared from Tampa in 1995. Thompson disappeared in 2001 from Clearwater, Florida, and his truck was later found abandoned in Tampa. Williams disappeared from Tampa in 2001. Galehouse and Wachholtz disappeared from Tampa within a day of each other in December 2003. Wachholtz's body was found in mid-January 2004, but the other men remain missing. Stephen Lorenzo lived just across the street from Drake Towers. In May 2004, he and an accomplice were accused of drugging and killing Galehouse and Wachholtz. In January 2006, Lorenzo was sentenced to 200 years in prison for charges related to GHB, a date rape drug which causes people to become extremely drowsy and suggestible. His accomplice, Scott Paul Schweikert, was sentenced to 40 years in prison as an accessory after the fact in the GHB case. Photos of both Schweikert and Lorenzo are posted with this case summary. In September 2012, Schweikert was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Wachholtz and Galehouse. In June 2016, he pleaded guilty to both murders and was sentenced to life in prison. This is on top of the 40 years he is already serving for the GHB-related charges. He admitted he and Lorenzo conspired to meet single gay men and turn them into sex slaves, then either kill them or sell them once they became tired of them. Schweikert stated he and Lorenzo met Galehouse at 2606 and convinced him to go back to Lorenzo's home for sex, then killed him together, dismembered his remains with an electric saw, and dumped the parts in trash bins all over the city. They met Wachholtz at the same club the next night, spiked his drink with GHB and killed him. Lorenzo has not been connected to Jackson's, Block's, and Rhodes' cases, but authorities are investigating a possible link due to the fact that he lived so close to where the men disappeared. He and Schweikert didn't become acquainted and form their conspiracy to drug and sexually abuse gay men until 2003, and investigators have stated that other than their lifestyles, there's no hard evidence to tie the other missing men to Lorenzo. Rhodes and Block co-owned a boat they kept at a boatyard off the 17th Street Causeway. Shortly after they disappeared, another co-owner sold the vessel. Their cases remain unsolved.
Number 5.
Bockworth was last seen in Escambia County, Florida on December 5, 1979. She got up early that morning and breakfasted with a friend at a McDonald's restaurant on Navy Boulevard. Her behavior at the time was normal. After the mean, Bockworth returned to her home in the 200 block of Grieve Road in Pensacola, Florida, and went back to bed. She left home again at 9:30 a.m. to go to class at the University of West Florida. Two friends saw Bockworth on campus in Building 58 at 11:10 a.m., just 10 minutes before she had an accounting class scheduled there, but uncharacteristically, she never showed up for the class. A longtime friend saw her driving through the intersection at Creighton Road and 9th Avenue, heading south, at 12:05 p.m. She has never been heard from again. On December 12, Bockworth's bright red 1977 Toyota hatchback with the Florida license plate number 9D23821 was found in the long-term parking lot at the Pensacola Regional Airport. The driver's seat was pushed back all the way, indicating that the last person to drive the car was taller than Bockworth. Her textbooks were in the backseat instead of in the passenger seat where she normally kept them, which suggests there were two people in the vehicle. Bockworth's purse was missing. She never touched her checking account. She contained $1,500. Bockworth had told several friends about having problems with her sometime boyfriend, Robert McClellan McDeaver, prior to her disappearance. They had dated steadily 2 years earlier, but their relationship was troubled. Bockworth's family and friends described Deaver as an extremely jealous man with a volatile temper. Twice Bockworth filed complaints with the police against him. In April 1978, he was accused of an unprovoked attack against Bockworth's new boyfriend while Bockworth was with him. Deaver pleaded guilty to charge and completed a term of probation. The second complaint, filed in the summer of 1978, alleged that Deaver had kicked Bockworth's Toyota repeatedly, causing minor damage, and when she asked him to pay for the repairs, he rammed his car into hers, struck her and tore a necklace off her throat. Charges were filed against Deaver in connection with the incident, but they were later dropped. Shortly afterwards, he went to Louisiana and didn't return until shortly before Bockworth's disappearance. Deaver and Bockworth began dating again after he moved back to Florida, something her parents didn't learn about until after she disappeared. He was still jealous and told Bockworth he would slap her down if he caught her with another man. Although her friends suggested he might have been involved in her disappearance, after she went missing he seemed very upset and helped Bockworth's family with the search. Deaver was scheduled to take a lie detector test about Bockworth's disappearance with a private investigator on December 11, the day after her car was found. After he missed the appointment, Bockworth's brother went to his house and found him dead in the garage. He had shot himself to death. Deaver left a note for his mother which said nothing about Bockworth or her disappearance. It isn't clear whether he is considered a suspect in Bockworth's case. It's completely uncharacteristic of Bockworth to leave without warning. Her parents, whom she lived with, stated she always kept them informed of her plans. She was an honors student at the university, where she majored in accounting, and she had also worked for her parents' real estate company. At 18 years old, she had been the youngest real estate agent in Florida history. She graduated from Escambia High School at age 17, enrolled at Pensacola Junior College, and transferred to the University of West Florida by the age of 19. Investigators believe Bockworth is deceased. Her case remains unsolved.
Number 6.
Boder was last seen in Orlando, Florida on February 28, 1988. She called her mother to say she'd be unable to pick her up from work that day, but said she'd be home sometime in the morning to cook breakfast. She never arrived at her residence in the 2800 block of Hambleton Avenue and has never been heard from again. She left all her personal belongings behind, including her clothing and toothbrush. Boder had dropped out of sight before, but never for more than a couple of days at a time, and she would usually call her mother to let her know her whereabouts. She had no prior history of abandoning her son, who was 7 years old at the time of her disappearance. When she left home she was driving her tan 1984 Toyota pickup truck. It's unclear whether the truck was ever located. It had the license plate number 737 BBS and the VIN number JT4RN5605E00679989. At the time of her disappearance, Boder was working at a construction site behind SeaWorld. She was declared legally dead in 2005. Her mother died in 2000 and her son died in 2014, but Boder's older brother is still alive. Foul play is possible in her case.